What's good, everybody, man? Today, I'm about to be going over my top 10 KOs of the year. I'm very excited to make this video. There have been some incredible KOs throughout the year, but to me, man, I got the best 10, all right? I got the most flashy, I got the most violent, I got the most brutal KOs there are. Now, there are some that missed out on the list that, I'd like to put on, but overall, man, I think I've got the best list possible, all right? So I'm not going to waste any more time. I'm going to get right into the first one. Coming in at the number 10 spot, man, I got an underrated one. This one does not get the love it deserves, okay? I don't think I've seen anybody talk about it at all. That's going to be Hyder Emil versus Young Lee. This was on the Lemos versus Jandaroba card. An insane finish. Hyder Emil comes out there and just starts throwing bombs right out of the gate, and eventually got the finish on Young Lee after landing a 38 punch combo. So, I mean, it was an insane finish. One of my favorite ones, like I said, doesn't get the recognition it deserves. And the under 2.5 in that fight was like minus 105. I remember I bet on it, and I was very confident it was going to happen, and it did. It didn't even go over a minute. So it was a very insane fight. And he was also a massive, I don't want to say massive underdog. I think he was like minus 200. And he ended up, cashing that underdog because he brought the fight to Young Lee, who is a very good fighter. I mean, he ate 38 punches without going down. But, I mean, after eating 38 punches, you probably can't continue to fight. And they weren't just, jabs. They were hooks that were, powerful. So one of my favorite finishes, does not get the recognition it deserves. And I'm excited to see what Hyder Emil can do. I know he's got a fight booked versus William Gomes, where William Gomes is probably going to dance around the octagon and be boring like William Gomes is. So unfortunate for Hyder Emil, but he's a very fun fighter to watch, and I'm excited to see what he can do in the future. Coming in at the number 9 spot, I got a brutal finish by way of Esteban Ribovic's shin, landing on old Terrence McKinney's chin and putting him on the cage unconscious, smiling like it's picture day. A nasty head kick. Definitely like I said, a vicious finish. Terrence McKinney comes out the gate like he always does, aggressive as hell. And Esteban Ribovic throws a little combination, hides the head kick right behind it, and McKinney didn't see it coming and got put out cold. One of the best head kick knockouts of the year for surely, man. Ribovic is a guy who has had a great 2024, who's really looking ahead in the lightweight division, a great boxer, a very fun fighter, and one of his best finishes of all time for sure. I mean, a nasty head kick, like I said, put McKinney out cold, which he's been out cold a couple times. But this was on the Lewis versus Nascimento card. Definitely a vicious finish by way of Esteban Ribovic. Coming in at the number 8 spot, man, I got Muslim Salikov landing a wheel kick KO on Song Kenan. Now, I was really high on Salikov to win this fight. I really thought he was going to go out there and outclass Kenan. I didn't really expect a wheel kick knockout, but I know that's something that he does. He's got a ton of crazy spinning kicks, and they're fast. They're really fast. You can't see him coming. Song Kenan didn't see it coming because it landed right on his forehead and put him out cold. And Song Kenan is actually a pretty durable guy. I mean, he's eaten some big shots from some tough fighters. And Salikov put the heel right on top of the temple and, sat him down and put him out cold. No follow-up shots needed. He was done for. Salikov's a bit of an interesting fighter. He's very old, but he's deceivingly fast. And, like I said, Kenan did not see it coming. That was on the Macau China card, which had a ton of great finishes. Actually going to be featured in this top 10 again. A great card and an insane finish by wheel kick from Muslim Salikov. For the number 7 spot, man, I got Ming Shi head kick over Xiao Kong Feng. This was on the same UFC Macau card. Some insane finishes on this card, like I said, but this one stood out to me, okay? Ming Shi was a heavy underdog. I mean, heavy, and for good reason. She was getting outclassed this whole fight, and I had big money on the other lady to go out there and win, which she was doing. She was up 2-0 very comfortably, but what makes this a little bit different is the height advantage, okay? Xiao Kong Feng was much taller than Ming Shi. Ming Shi's maybe 5'3". Xiao Kong Feng's like a Sean O'Malley, right? She's like 5'8", 5'9", and she was outclassing Ming Shi the whole fight until a head kick from Ming Shi comes out of nowhere, lands right on the chin, and puts Xiao Kong Fang out cold. I mean, this was one of those KOs where you just never see it coming, right? Up 2-0, comfortably winning the fight, and then out of nowhere, a head kick comes from a fighter who probably will be out of the UFC in 2 or 3 fights. No offense to her. And, I was very upset. I had a lot of money on the other lady to win, and she got put out cold. She was minus 2,000 live odds. So just a crazy comeback finish. And not to mention, she put her out cold for, minutes. All right. This wasn't a little, 1 minute, she's back, she's good. There were minutes, right? She got to get stretchered off. She was out for about 5 or 6 minutes, and a brutal finish. And I feel bad because Ming Shi, she seemed like such a nice lady. She was actually like crying after the fight, but it is what it is. That's the game we're in, man. And she had a devastating head kick knockout over Xiao Kong Fang. That's coming in at the number 7 spot. For the number 6 spot, I got Bruno Ferreira spinning elbow over Dustin Stoltzfus. A very insane finish. This was on the UFC Louisville card. And man, I don't know how Dustin Stoltzfus was standing, okay? Because I do remember so clearly the thud that the elbow landed with. It was so loud. And it was just, I don't know how he ate it. He did not go down. I'm not going to say he was with it, right? He wasn't with it because he was stumbling and stuff, but he ate the shot and didn't go down. It was unbelievable. And a nasty finish from Bruno Ferreira, who's such an exciting middleweight fighter who has tons of power, so dynamic, and definitely one of my favorite finishes of the year. A very weird finish because he led with the elbow, and he had tried it previously, and it didn't land. He went right back to it and landed it, and I believe it broke some of Dustin Stoltzfus' face. It was a nasty finish. Definitely one of my favorites of the year. And yeah, man, that's going to be the number 6 spot. Coming in at the number 5 spot, I got Shara Magomedov, double spinning back fist. A very weird finish because originally I didn't even know what it hit Petrosian, right? Because the camera angle was a little off. I didn't really get to clearly see the other back fist come because I saw him throw the first one, and then the second one came and it landed perfect right on the chin of Petrosian, sat him down, and the fight was over. A very interesting finish, and Shara Magomedov is a top 15 middleweight at the moment. Somehow, but he's got a fight with MVP coming up that could be pretty interesting, where I don't know who to pick in that fight, but it's a very fun fight. But anyways, that finish was nasty. We've never seen something like that. You could kind of see him setting up something like that. I didn't really get to see exactly what he set up because I saw him throw the spinning back fist a couple times, and then he kind of hesitated on the first or the last one he threw, and then came back with the other fist. Very weird finish, but I have to give him credit where it's due because we've never seen a double spinning back fist in the UFC. So that's going to be my number 5 spot. Coming in at the number 4 spot, I got Vinicius Oliveira's flying knee over Bernardo Sopai. This was a very weird finish as well, honestly, because Vinicius Oliveira kind of had Bernardo Sopai wobbling. He was so tired, Sopai was. And Vinicius Oliveira was kind of on the other side of the octagon and ran all the way across the octagon and flying knee KO'd Sopai out cold. A vicious finish, and definitely one of those ones where it's just like probably one of the most, violent finishes of the year. It landed perfect. Sopai had been beaten bad that fight, and you could see Oliveira was absolutely looking for the finish like he does at every point in the fight. The dude fights so hard. One of the most entertaining fighters for sure. But that fight was crazy overall. And then to cap it off with that kind of knee, that kind of finish was unbelievable. And I think we're going to see a lot of highlights out of Vinicius Oliveira. I have no doubt about it. But that was one of the best ones of the year for sure. Like I said, across the octagon, ran across and kneed him in the face and put him out cold. Definitely has to be on your top 5 for sure. So that's going to be in the number 4 spot for me. Coming in at the number 3 spot, I actually have Faraz Ziam knee KO over Matt Frivola. Now, originally, when I was looking at like the best KOs of the year, obviously this was there, but I didn't know I'd put it this high until I rewatched it because, man, it was vicious, all right? It was very brutal. Faraz Ziam had Frivola in the clinch. Frivola turned around and got met with a nasty knee that he didn't see coming. In the follow-up shots when he was unconscious were brutal as well. Not to mention the Paris crowd, which is so electric, so loud, went crazy as they should have because it was an insane finish. definitely one of my favorite finishes of the year. And like I said, I didn't think I'd put it this high, but the crowd, the brutal follow-up shots, in my eyes, this was the most violent KO of the year because of those follow-up shots, man. They were just nasty, nasty shots. And Frivola, I don't even know if the brother's awake anymore. I mean, it was a bad, bad KO. But anyways, Faraz Ziam looking like a little bit of a bright future ahead. We'll see what he can do, but he was dominating Frivola that whole entire fight, piecing him up, defending the takedowns. He looked damn good. And to cap off a performance like that with a finish so brutal, he's definitely got to be in the number 3 spot for me. For the number 2 spot, I actually have Ilia Toporia's KO over Max Holloway at UFC 308. Man, now, honestly, the finish wasn't that crazy, and I do think that Volk's finish was a little bit like more brutal and more vicious, but it's just finishing Max Holloway. Now, Max Holloway's never been dropped, okay? He's never been dropped in his UFC career. He's been in the UFC forever, since he's like 20 years old, so, 15 years plus, and maybe not 15 years, but around that area, you know what I mean? He's been there forever. He's fought some heavy, heavy hitters, and never been really rocked or knocked down, So for Ilia Topuria to go out there and finish him, like I said, I predicted it perfectly. 3rd round finish from Topuria. Go ahead and check the receipts. But it was just a crazy, crazy moment. Definitely one of the craziest KOs of the year. And I've got to have it top 2 just because of the way that it happened, man. Holloway, like I said, known for his durability, his iron chin, and Topuria was the one to crack it. And it was a tight fight going into the 3rd round. And Topuria landed a nice right hand, ended up landing that left hook and put Holloway out pretty much cold. I mean, unconscious, TKO. And man, Ilya as a case to, be the fighter of the year with the win over Volkanovski and a win over Holloway where he said he was going to knock out both guys, and he did it. So, I mean, how can I not have this in the number 2 spot? Number 1 is a little bit better in my opinion, but this was just an unbelievable finish, an unbelievable performance from one of the most skilled fighters we've ever seen, who can go up to lightweight and win the belt as well, I believe, as well as dominate any featherweight on the planet. This guy is very, very legit, and to KO 2 legends like that, top 50 or top 25 fighters of all time is no joke. I don't care how old they are. We've just seen Holloway KO Gaethje and Volk KO Yair, so it was unbelievable year from him, and the Max KO was just so crazy to me that I had to put it at the number 2 Coming spot. In at number 1, man, I think everybody has to have this number 1, and that's going to be Holloway versus Gaethje at UFC 300. There's no way I couldn't put this number 1, all right? The stakes were so high in a 5-round fight for the BMF title, whatever, and I feel like a casual saying this, but how could you not have it here, man? I don't want to, be a casual, but you got to have this here, right? I mean, this is just insane, right? Holloway dominating the fight. Gaethje, is known as a heavy hitter, a brawler, and probably somebody you don't want to point to the middle to. And, Holloway did it, and he knocked him out cold. A buzzer beater KO. You rarely see it, especially in such a massive, massive fight like this. I still remember how shocked I was. Definitely, one of the best moments probably of UFC history, right? I think could be number 1, really. I really do. I mean, there's no way I couldn't put this at number 1, no matter how many KOs there are, how many good ones there are. I think this would have to be number 1 no matter what. I think it might be number 1 all time for me. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You can't even write it up better, right? A BMF fight, which was not the fight of the year by any means, by the way. It was not fight of the year. It was a good fight, but Gaethje won 1 round, right? It was pretty dominant from Holloway, but the fact that Holloway calls him to the middle, right, when he's clearly winning the fight easily and throws down in the middle and puts him out cold on a buzzer beater, like I said, you can't draw it up any better. That has to be number 1 for everybody. I don't care if you're trying to be different. It has to be number 1. So yeah, man, that's going to wrap it up for me. I hope y'all boys enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one.